Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you decide to sit and watch this lecture. We are doing OM. For now, we are done with technically 3 concepts, but I am breaking them down into 4 concepts. And how do I put it? Well, this is how I put it. You decide to produce something. So the first thing you do is you do a statistical study of that product. Whether it's a shoe, then I would do a size-based study. If I'm making a car, then I would make a mileage-based study. What kind of mileages do people prefer in this country, or what is the cost range that people prefer in this country? After having done that kind of a study, I will realize what my production should be, or what I should produce, or what my forecasted production should be, so that people buy my product. Now, once I've decided what my forecast will be, the next thing is, where do I set up my plant? That is where location planning comes into picture. Once I've decided where I set up my plant, then I start designing the facility of that plant, and that is where facility planning comes into picture. Once that is done, now I say, oh, I require 10,000 cars or 12,000 cars over the year. So if I require, or if my projected sales is 12,000 cars over the year, then on an average monthly, it comes to 1,000 cars, which is 12 months, 12,000. But is it always going to be exactly 1,000 per month? Not really. There will be fluctuations in the demand, depending on what? Well, depending on when is the season in which people buy a car. I'm like, excuse me, there's no season in which people buy a car. In India, there is. People try to buy new things, which is, let's say, a car or a house, or let's say gold, and all these commodities people try to buy on auspicious occasions, where Padwa is considered to be an auspicious occasion. For some people buy it on Diwali, some people have their birthday as, oh, I'm going to buy it on my birthday. So you will see spikes in the demand on certain days where people think those days are auspicious. Somebody would want a car on Christmas, which is the 25th of December. Some people will say that, oh, I want to buy a car on Eid. So Eid will become, or shopping festivals. I travel a lot, so I have to go to Kerala, I have to go to Chennai. And in the south, these major festivals are not given too much importance. Like, for example, in Kerala, Diwali, Eid, all this is not given too much importance. What is given more importance is their cultural festivals, and that is Onam and Vishu. So when you see major shopping festivals, you will not see them. You might see shopping festivals around Diwali, I'm not saying no, but you will see like a major shopping festival happening around Onam and Vishu, which is the important days for that state. So what I'm trying to put here is, yes, sales of a product, not just raincoat and warm wear, they are not just seasonal. Everything has a season. You need to tap in and understand where your season falls in. So once you've understood that, we do make an aggregate plan. Oh, in this month, I only require 100 units. Well, in the next month, I require 150. Well, in the next month, I only require 50 units. How are you going to plan this production so that we don't have any problems as and how we are going ahead? Once all that is done, and we've understood that in the month of January, how much am I supposed to produce? In the month of February, how much am I supposed to produce? And so on. We come to the next concept, that is capacity and productivity management, or capacity and productivity planning. This section has 2 parts, where you will see questions only on capacity, then you will see questions only on productivity, and then you might see capacity questions that are mixed with productivity. So technically they are 2 completely different concepts, but I can't do them under 2 different concepts because there are questions that require the understanding of both, and that is why I'm going to do together. So what we are going to first deal with is only and only capacity, or I am going to do only capacity planning questions. Let's come to capacity. What do you mean by capacity? Well, literally capacity. We use all these words in our day-to-day lives every day. where somebody tells you that, you know what, tomorrow I'm going for a run and I might run 50,000, I might run 8 kilometers. So you ask the person, but usually you run only 5 kilometers. Do you think you have the capacity to run another 3 extra kilometers? Or you are loading up your car to go somewhere. And then a friend calls up and says, I know I told you I have only one bag, but there is another bag that has been packed now. And does your car have the capacity for one more bag? So capacity, according to me, can be looked at in two ways. One is, what do you have? And the other is, what do you want? So there are two ways in which you can look at capacities, or 2 point of views in which you can look at capacity. One point of view is, what do you have? Currently, what is your capacity? So remember when we spoke about the car example, if my car can hold 5 people, well, that is my capacity. What I have is a 5 people capacity. And then comes a question, what do you want? How many people are taking the trip with you? There are 4 people. Fantastic. 4 people along with you becomes 5 people. 5 people is what you want and 5 people is what you have. You want a car that can accommodate 5 people. You have a car that can accommodate 5 people. But now if I tell you, your car can accommodate 5 people, but the total number of people on the trip is 7. This becomes a little bit of a problem, because what I have does not match what I want. On the other hand, if I would have told you that I want a capacity or a car of 4 people, well, that is done. My car can accommodate 5 people. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Anything is allowed. Don't ask me for more than 5. More than 5 I cannot accommodate. So if you tell me 4, I can accommodate. If you tell me 7, I cannot accommodate. Here, what I want is more than what I have. Or my capacity cannot fulfill the required capacity or the demand. So there will be questions asked to you in 2 ways. Number 1, they might ask you your capacity. Or number 2, they might tell you that this is what I want to produce. Can you tell me what is the required capacity? So in this example, if they ask me my capacity, well, if I have a car, let's say like a Swift or a Desire, I will tell them that my capacity is 5 people, that's it. But if they ask me what is the capacity that I want, well, if I want a capacity of 7, it won't be fulfilled with 5 people. I have 2 options. Number 1, rent another car. But one more car will be 5 and 5, 10 people. That's okay. Now there will be a 3 people space that will be gone wasted. But I don't have a choice. I cannot push 7 people in a 5 people space. Definitely not happening. So when I increase capacity, it might happen that I overshoot the required capacity. Well, that is okay. The idea is to get this fulfilled. As long as this is fulfilled, it doesn't matter if I have extra capacity. Because I'll give you an example. Suppose my car only has 4 people capacity. Let's say, for example, I have a Nano. Or let's talk about bikes. Let's say Nano. A Nano can comfortably fit 4 people. So my capacity is 4. But you know how much do I require? I require a car for 6 people. So I have a choice. Either scrap the Nano and get a car that can sit 6 people, like an SUV, like an Innova or a Rover or something like that. Or I have another choice. Get another Nano. 1 car for 4, 1 car for 4. Will sit 8 people. That's okay, I have 6. My capacity is taken care of. But sir, why do you want to rent an entire Nano? 1 Nano can sit 4 people. No. Why don't you rent half a car? Don't trade a full car. Very good idea. So I will say, I will take 1 nano and the other nano, why don't you cut into half and give me half because I only require half. Is that allowed? That's not allowed. I'll give you a small example. If I have one machine that can produce 400 units, then this is my current capacity. With one machine, I can produce 400 units. How much do you require? I require 300 units. Fantastic. I can produce 400. So 300 is done. Situation number 1. Situation number 2. How many units do you require? 600 units. Oh, 600 can't be done with one machine. If you buy me one more machine, then I can do it. With one more machine, I can produce another 400 units. 400 plus 400, 800. Can I now produce 600? Yes. Array, but I only require 200 extra. No, one machine can produce 400. I need 600, so I just need 200 extra. Why buy one entire machine? Buy half a machine, no. If one machine can make 400 units, half a machine can make 200 units. So the 400 with one machine and the 200 with half a machine is 600. Fantastic. So you will go to a shop or you will go to the vendor who you are going to buy the machine from and you are going to tell the vendor, see, I only need to produce 200 extra units. I don't need one entire machine. Why don't you cut the machine into 2 halves and give it to me? It doesn't work that way. You cannot cut a machine and use it. And that is why I have to buy 2 whole machines where I will overshoot my demand, but that's okay. So to sum it up, I look at capacity in 2 ways. One is what do you have and the other is what do you want. If what you have matches what you want, fantastic. If what you have is more than what you want, fantastic. The problem is what you have cannot be less than what you want. If what you have is less than what you want, then you will have to upgrade, buy a new machine, set up a new plant, outsource to meet that given demand. There are very basic questions in this. Let's begin with the first question under capacity plan. The first question says that in your module it is page 19, question number 5. The department works 8-hour shift for 250 days a year. 8-hour shift, 250 days a year, and has the usage data of a machine as given below. So, you are working an 8-hour shift for 250 days in a year, and the data gives you how much am I going to use the machine in that department. I am going to produce 3 products, X, Y, and Z. X has an annual demand of 300, Y has an annual demand of 400, Z has an annual demand of 500. The processing time. The product that I am making on X, 1 unit takes 4 hours. Y, 1 unit takes 6 hours, and Z, 1 unit takes 3 hours. What are you asking me? Determine the number of machines that I require. See, what you've done is, you have given me my capacity in terms of time. So you've told me that I'm working 8 hours for 250 days. That is what I have. What I want is not written in that manner. What I want is given to me as units. So I can't compare time in units. So what I need to do is convert the units to time. If I convert the units to time, I will know the time that I have and the time that I want. If the time that I have and I want is the same, I am meeting the given capacity. If the time that I want is more than the time that I have, then I need to bring up the have to bring it to the same capacity. Is that correct? Let me write down the data quickly. Let's come to the solution then. So, I am making 3 products. What are the 3 products? X, Y, and Z. Every product requires a certain number of hours on the machine. Okay. X requires 4 hours on the machine. How many units do I require? 300. Then can I do one thing? Can I find out the total time required? What is going to be a total time required? 1 unit requires 4 hours, then 300 units is 4 3s are 1200 hours. 1 unit requires 6 hours, 6 4s are 2400 hours. 1 unit requires 3 hours, 3 5s are 1500 hours. The total is 0 0 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 1 1 1 2 3 4 5. I require 5100 hours. Correct? So, total time required for production to fulfill annual demand of X, Y and Z is 5100 hours. So what I want is 5100 hours available. What do I have? Well, I don't know what I have. 1 minute. I know that I am working 8 hours for 250 days. Now I will focus on that a little later. I'll give you a few standards which you all don't need to know because every question it will be given. But there are a few standards set in the production industry and I'll tell you what the standards are. Anyway, coming back to, if I have one machine, I will be working it for 8 hours a day, and in a year I will be working it for 250 days. So with one machine, how many hours of production do I get? Well, with one machine working for 8 hours for 250 days, I get a total of 2000 hours on that machine. Well, then that's a problem. What I want is 5100 hours. What I have with one machine is 2000 hours. So if I want to find out how many machines do I need to buy, well, I can tell you that by common sense also. One machine gives 2000 hours, not enough. 2 machines will give 4000 hours, still not enough. 3 machines will give 6000 hours. Well, it's more than what I require. But then I can't buy 2. I have to buy 3. So I will buy 3 machines to fulfill my demand or to fulfill my capacity. My capacity should be of 3 machines. Or go back to school and do this. What? One machine gives 2000 hours. Then X machine will give me 5100 hours. In the next step, cross multiply. One machine into 5100 is X machines into 2000. So take the 2000 to the other side. X is equal to 5100 upon 2000. What is 5100 divided by 2000? 5100 divided by 2000 is 2.55. So I will buy 2.55 machines. So I will tell them I want 2 machines and then I want a third machine, but I don't want full. I will only cut it into half and use it. Doesn't work that way. You can't buy 2.5 machines. You will say then I approximately need 3 machines. So why not 2 machines? Because with 2 machines you only get 4000 hours. Are you meeting the required capacity? No. With 3 machines you can produce for 6000 hours. It's more than the required capacity, but to fulfill this capacity, that is the minimum that you have to buy. And that is why I will require 3 machines. A very basic and a very simple question. Now, before I plunge into the rest of the questions, there are a few industry standards and the India. Now because, so initially, like I told you, when the module was very big, they had like 20-30 questions in production planning and capacity management, but they reduced them. So a few questions didn't have standards. Like they would just tell you, find me what is the capacity for 1 year. But they wouldn't tell you that in 1 year, how many days am I working and how many hours am I working. So these are the standards. The standard is 1 day is always considered as 8 hours. So one production day is not 12 hours. Human day is 12 hours, technically 24. So 12-hour day, 12-hour night. But work hour, which is production work hour, is only 8 hours. 1 week is always considered as 5 days. Well, if 1 week is 5 days, 1 month will be 4 weeks. 4 fives are 20. No. 1 week is considered as 5 days, but 1 month is considered as 25 days. And 1 year, if 1 month is 25, then 1 year is 25 into 12. 1 year is 250 days. But like I told you, you don't need to remember this because every question, this will be given to you. You don't have to worry about it. So, let me quickly run through. I have to produce XYZ, 300, 400, 500 units. This is the per unit production requirement. So the total time required for me to produce everything on one machine is 5100. But how much, if I buy one machine, how many hours will I get? Well, one machine working for 2000, one machine working for 8 hours a day for 250 days will give me 2000 hours worth of output. Not enough, I need 5100 hours of output. So for 5100 hours of output, I need to buy approximately 3 machines. Let's quickly look at the solution that they have. So, capacity planning, this was the question. Let's go to the solution. Even they have just extended one more column and finished it off. You can write down separately also below, like for product X, for product Y, for product Z. Then total time is time in product X plus time for product Y plus time for product Z and so on. But then because just one column solves all problems, it becomes easier. So total required is 5100 hours. After that, step 2, annual production capacity of one machine will be 8 hours into 250, which is 2000 hours per year. Number of machines required is going to be workload per year production capacity per machine, which is 5100 divided by 2000, which is 2.55 machines, which is approximately equal to 3 machines. And that's your answer. So they will always mention the standards to you. If they change them, it's okay. You use what they give you. Because see, for every production plant, standards are different. For example, now I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but these people that make kitchen appliances, like people who make trolleys and stuff, they shut down. They shut down in Diwali completely. But not everybody completely shuts down in Diwali. The IT firms are still working. Like Colgate production in Hindustan Unilever is still working. So not every industry has the same setup about standards. Every industry has just different setups about standards. So if they give you, you use what they give you. If they don't give you, then these are the standards, but they will never ever not give you the standards. These are, I'm sorry, I don't think you can see it, but you know what I wrote down. 1 day is 8 hours, 1 week is 5 days, 1 month is 25 days, and 1 year is 250 days. But in all your questions, you will always be given the standard day hour and the number of days. If they change them, then you use whatever is changed. That is it. That is question number 1 or 19 in your modules. After this, we come to question number 2. Now I want to show you something very funny, and this is why I love your institute material. This question is in the first unit basically. It falls in question 5, module page 90, 1990. Let's come to the next question. Look at the next question. This is the next question. Let me read it for you. The department, just hold on. Yes. The department works 8-hour shift 288 days. See, they've changed the standard here. 8 hours a day, but not 250 days a year. They are working 288 days. That's okay. and the usage data of the machine is given below. You are making 3 products ABC, there you are making 3 products XYZ. Annual demand and processing time in standard. What are they saying? Calculate the processing time needed in hours for product A, B and C. See, now here they are basically asking you to separately note it down. So it's okay, you find the processing time required for ABC and give it to them as a proper solution. So write down A, and under A we will write down the processing time to produce the annual demand of product A is the processing time required to produce the annual demand of product B is and product C is and so on. So write that down separately. Number B, annual production capacity of one machine in standard hours. See, this we did in the previous question also, but we weren't asked a specific question. Here we are asked. What was it there? It was 8 hours into 250 days, which is 2000 hours. So for one machine, the annual capacity is, which is 2000 hours. So for one machine, the annual capacity is 2000 hours. And question number 3, number of machines required. Exactly same question. And that is why I'm not going to do it. I'm leaving it. You do it yourself. There isn't much to do. So the same thing. Annual demand hours, you multiply to find the total production time. So answer A, this is answer A, but I would appreciate it if you, after the calculation, write it down verbally. That product A requires 1625 hours to fulfill the annual demand, product B requires and so on. Then annual production capacity, one machine working for 8 hours for 288 days is 2304 hours. Correct? Now the third and the last, which is number of machines required, where workload per year divided by the production capacity per machine. It is basically how much do you want upon how much do you have. What I want is 6725 divided by what I have is 2304, which is 2.9 machines, but I've told you can't buy machines in decimals, so you will say I'm buying 3 machines. Now let me show you something. Remember this question I told you is on page 90 now. So the next question should also be somewhere around the same. No, they've put it in a random concept, and that question is in your institute material on page 166. I don't know for what reason, don't ask. That's it. That is question number 2. Let's move on to the next question. The next question that I want to do is now slightly different. Now, like I told you, because they've removed a lot of questions, every question is different. Very rarely it is that 2 questions are the same type. Anyway, the question that I want to do is question number 5. What does question number 5 say? The question says, manager has to decide about the number of machines to be purchased. He has 3 options, that is purchasing 1, 2 or 3 machines. So see, here the manager has a choice between purchasing either 1, 2 or 3 machines. Okay, what do you need my help with? Well, it says that if I buy 1 machine, it has an annual fixed cost of 1200 units and the corresponding range of production is 0 to 300 units. Okay, if I buy 2 machines, the annual fixed cost becomes 15,000 units. What? 1 machine is 12,000 units. Then 2 machines should be 24,000. No? No. Why? Suppose 1 machine I bring in and I am going to put it in a certain place and pay rent for it. Now, if I bring 1 more machine and put it in the same place, I'm not going to pay double rent. I've already paid rent for that place. So the fixed will get divided between the 2 machines. And that is why here the fixed doesn't double. Technically it should double, no? But there are a few resources that both of them will be using together. And because both of them will be using together, the fixed will not directly double. It will get pulled between the 2. And that is why 1 machine is going to require 12,000 units, but 2 machines is going to require a 15,000, only a 3,000 rupees increment. And if I buy 3 machines, then the incremental is going to be another 6,000, which is going to be 2,100, 21,000 rupees. Now, if I buy 1 machine, I can have an output of 0 to 300 units? If I buy 2 machines, obviously, why will you buy 2 machines? Because you want more than 300. So the first machine can make 300, the second machine can make 300, 300, 300, 600. But why does this say 301 to 600? Obviously, why will you buy a second machine? You are buying a second machine because the first machine is running in full capacity, which means the first machine is making 300 units. So if I buy one more machine, it is that the first machine is full capacity. I want to increase my capacity. So that is why the next machine I buy will produce from 301 to 600. Similarly with the third, why would I buy 3 machines? Because the first 2 are running in full capacity. So 300, 300, 600 units are made. Now whatever extra capacity I require will be fulfilled by the third machine, which is 601 to 900 units. The variable cost is rupees 20 per unit and the revenue is rupees 50 per unit. A. Calculate the break-even point for each range. Remember when I did location planning? I told you how to find a break-even point, the BEP. How do you do that? Well, what you do is you compare the total costs of 2 options and then whatever quantity you get becomes the break-even. At that point, both the options will give you the same cost. Well, that is one break-even and this is another break-even. That is between 2 types of machines or between 2 processes. This now is only about one process, but what are you going to find with break-even in one process? Well, I am going to find out whether that one process is profitable or not, or for how many units is that one profitable and from how many units is it not profitable. So can we have an example? Yes. Suppose I buy a machine and the rent of that machine is, or let's say I have bought it off finance. So I am paying 10,000 per month for the machine. Plus I am paying rent and electricity and everything is another 10,000 rupees. So it becomes 20,000 rupees as it is gone. Now see, whenever I produce, the extra production is also going to cost because then production will bring in raw material. So that raw material also has to be paid for. Well, that will be variable. What is the variable cost? The variable cost is 10 rupees into the number of units you make. Now, if I tell you that this product is going to be sold for a minimum of 100 rupees per unit, then how many units do I need to produce so that I have profit? Well, see, to have profit, you need to make sure that you at least fulfill this cost. Because with the sales, if you fulfill this cost, then whatever extra is profit. So what I am going to say is the total cost of production is 20,000 plus 10x. And my total sales is 100 into the number of units that I make. I am going to equate the total cost with the total sales. What do you mean by total cost and total sales equal? Well, what I am trying to say is whatever I have produced, I have pulled it back with the sales. I am on an equilibrium. I am neither profit nor loss. So I will say that the total cost of 20,000 plus 10x is equal to 100x. Take the 10x to the other side. 20,000 is equal to 100x minus 10x. So 90x is 20,000, or x is 20,000 divided by 90. What is 20,000 divided by 90? 22.22222. So 22.222 I am writing. What does this mean? If I make 222 units, my total cost and total sales will be the same. Don't believe me? Check. If I make 222 units, total cost of production will be 20,000 plus 222 into 10. 222 into 10 is 2,220. 2,220 plus 22,000 is 22,220. This is my total cost. What will be my sales revenue? How many units are you selling? You are selling 2220 units. Well, multiply that by 100. 222 multiplied by 100 is 22200. Remember there was a 0.22222. That is why it's not the exact value. But I hope you get the idea. If I make 222 units, I will have neither profit nor loss because my total cost will be recovered by the total sales. If I want profit, then I should make more than 222. Then the sales will grow above the cost. If the sales grows above the cost, then I will be a profit margin. But if I produce less than 222 units, let's say I produce 200 units. What will happen? If I produce 200 units, the total cost of production will be 100 into 200 is 2000. So cost of production will be 22,000 rupees. And how much will you get back from sales? From sales, I will get back 200 into 100, which is 2 and 4 zeros, which is 20,000 rupees. So what I spent is 22,000 and what I got back is 20,000. Isn't that a loss? And that is why 222 becomes the break-even point of quantity or output. At 222 units, you will have neither profit nor loss. If you produce more than 222 units, you will have profit. Less than 222 units, you will have loss. So what they are trying to say is, in this question, that they have given you what is their costs and what is their revenue. They are asking you to find the break-even point for all the three options. Fine then, let me read the question once again, but in a smaller pattern. So to find the break-even volume or the break-even point, I need to have the total cost and the total sales. So I will begin with, for one machine. See, total cost is always fixed cost plus variable cost into the number of units that you are producing. So for one machine, so total cost for one, I am writing one because to represent that it is for one machine. The total cost for, or you can write a 1 below, TC1. Total cost for one machine is fixed cost is 12,000 plus. What was the variable? Variable is same for everyone, but what is it? The variable is 20 per unit. So plus 20x. But what is the total sales? Well, the total sales in one is 50 per unit into x. For break-even point, total cost in one should be equal to total sales in one, which becomes 12,000 plus 20x is equal to 50x. Take the 20 to the other side. 12,000 is 30x, or x is 12,000 divided by 30, which is 400. So, if I buy one machine, I should produce a minimum of 400 units. If I produce 400 units, it will be neither profit nor loss. If I produce less than 400 units, it will be loss. More than 400 units, it will be profit. So this is the break-even point or the break-even quantity for one machine. Let's go for two machines. For two machines. For two machines, I am going to say the total cost in two is 15,000 plus 20x, and the total sales in two is going to be again 50x. I am going to say for BEP, total costs in two should be equal to total sales in two, which means that 15,000 plus 20x is 50x. 20x goes to the other side. 15,000 is 30x. Then what is x equal to? X is equal to 500 units. If you are planning to buy two machines, You need to make a minimum of 500 units, then only you will break even. More than 500 will be a good idea. Less than 500 is a bad idea because it's a loss. Let's come to the last one for 3 machines. For 3 machines, total cost in 3 is 21,000 plus 20x. Total sales in 3 is 50x. So, for the break-even point, total cost in 3 should be equal to total sales in 3, which will be 21,000 plus 20x is equal to 50x. 21,000 is 30x, or x is equal to 7,000. Sorry, x is equal to 700. If I am buying 3 machines, make sure that you will produce a minimum of 700 units, because anything less than 700 units will be a loss. More than 700 units will be a profit. So, let me now answer the first question, or look at how they have answered the first question. Well, according to them, they have calculated the break-even point and they have written this gibberish, which is TR, which is total revenue, is total, which is FC plus TVC, and they have written here. FC is fixed cost, R is revenue, VC is variable cost, and so on. Stick to what I have written, more than enough. Yes, and here, so they will say for 1 machine it's 400 units, for 2 machines it's 500 units, for 3 machines it's 700 units. That is going to be your question number 1, or the answer to question number 1. What is question number 1? Determine the break-even point for each range. I have determined the break-even point for each range. Let's come to question number 2. If the projected demand is between 600 to 650, how many machines should the manager produce? Well, if the projected demand is between 600 to 650, so you are saying your projected demand is between 600 to 650 units. Let me do one thing. Let me write down whatever I have done so far. What I have done is I have found the break-even point for these machines. So, number of machines. 1, 2, 3. Production capacity. This can produce 300. This can produce 301 to 600. Or this you can write 0 to 300. And this can produce 601 to 900 units. What did you get as the break-even quantity, BEP or BEQ, whatever you want to call it? Well, for 1 machine, the break-even is at 400, 2 500, and 3 700. So, 400 units, 500 units, and 700 units. Projected demand is between 600 to 650 units. This becomes a little weird. 600 to 650. So you're not giving me an exact value. You are giving me between 600 to 650, could be anything. See, ideally, if you want to produce dot 600, produce it in 2 machines. Because see, 2 machines can produce a dot 600, and since the break-even is at 500, won't that be profit? So what about 1 machine? I'll tell you something about 1 machine. If you produce 600 units in 1 machine, it will be profit because the break-even is at 400 units. Anything more than 400 will be profit. But can you produce 400 units? You can't even produce 400 units. So there is no point. So my first declaration is, we cannot produce break even quantity in one machine. Hence, one machine is not economical. Again, why? One machine can only make 300 units. You are expecting a break even at 400. So if you can never reach the break even, you are never going to make profit. Now, if you are asking me exactly 600, then I would suggest make it with two machines, because two machines have the capacity of 600 units, and because the break even is at 500 and you are crossing the break even, you will definitely make a profit. So number 2, the production capacity of two machines is 600 units, and the break even point of two machines is 500 units. Hence, for a demand of exactly 600 units, we can produce with two machines. But see, they didn't say exactly 600. No, they said 600 to 650. So 600 I can produce in two machines. What about 601? Cannot. The moment you say 601, I will say 601 to 650 units can be produced with how many machines? With 3 machines only. You cannot produce it with any other combination. You can't buy 1, you can't buy 2. You have to buy 3, you don't have a choice. But since the BEP of 3 machines is 700 units, we will incur a loss, because you are not going to reach the break even, which means you are going to incur a loss. If it was for exact, if they would have told me exactly 625, exactly 400 units, then I could give them a clearer answer. This 600 to 650 creates a problem, and this is going to be my inference. One machine I can't do anything. 2 machines is a good idea. There will be profit, but with only 600 units is what you can buy 2 machines for. And for 3 machines, if you are hell-bent that no, I want to produce 601 to 650, then buy 3 machines. But remember that it will be a loss, because for 3 machines, the break even is at 700 units. Let's quickly look at the solution that they have. And the solution is, number 1, they found the break even. And if you notice, right at the break even, they've written a few things. Like if the break even is 400, here they are saying not within the range of 30 to 300, which means this break even, this buying 1 machine is completely stupid. You will never have a profit. Well, if you buy 2 machines, break even is at 500, which is in the range of 300 to 600. If you buy 3 machines, then break even is 700, which is in the range of 601 to 900. Question number 2. Now, like I have written it, they have also written it like an essay. You don't really have a choice. The projected demand is between 600 to 650. The break-even point of 1 machine, that is 400, is not feasible because it exceeds the range of volume that can be produced with 1 machine. So buying 1 machine is completely out of question. Also, the break-even point of 3 machines is 700 units, which is more than the upper limit of the projected demand, which is 600 to 650 units, hence not feasible. For 2 machine option, the break-even volume is 500 and the volume range is 301 to 600. Hence, a demand of 600 can be met with 2 machines and a profit can be earned because the production volume of 600 is more than the break-even volume of 500. If the manager wants to produce 650, if he is hell-bent and he's saying, no, I want to produce more than 600, well, then you will have to buy 3 machines. But remember that there will be a loss because the break-even volume with 3 machines is 700. Hence, the manager would choose 2 machines to produce 600. So they have written everything mixed. What I would prefer is 3 points. Point number 1. Why is machine 1 a bad idea? Point number 2, when is machine 2 a good idea? Point number 3, if you are hellbent and you want to make more than 600, then you will have to make it with 3 machines. But because the break even for 3 machines is 700, you will have to incur a loss. And that is going to be question number 5. Let's move on to the next question. Those were the basic questions that were related to productivity, capacity. Now we move into productivity. But before we move into productivity can be looked at in 2 different ways. The first one that we are going to do is an input-output productivity. And the second one that we are going to look at is an output-output productivity. This is very simple. What is this? You are making a product. Okay? How many did you make? Well, I made 400 units. What all went into this? Well, these 400 units were made in 20 days. Okay. How many people were involved in this? There were 8 workers working in my production plant. How much electricity did they use? Well, they used 200 units of electricity. How much raw material went into producing this? Well, the total raw material that went into producing this is 100 kgs. We are going to talk about an input-output productivity. How productive is your input into giving me an output of 400 units? 20 days gives an output of 400 units. Then can I say, if you ask me the daily productivity or a per day productivity, it will be 400 units out of 20 days, which means it is 0, 0 cancels, 2 2s are 4, 2 zeros are, is 20 units per day. So, productivity in terms of output per day is 2 units per day. Well, then productivity in terms of worker, well, 8 workers are giving me 400 units. So, productivity of the workers is 400 units divided by 8 workers, which is 50 units, or 1 worker works towards an output of 50 units. So tomorrow if you tell me you want to make 500 units, what I can tell you about the workers is you need a minimum of 2 more workers for sure. Because you need 100 units extra, 1 worker can give you 50 units, 2 workers will give you 100 units. So if you have 8, you need 10 workers. What if I ask you the electricity productivity? Well, 400 units are produced by giving an input of 200 units, which is 2 units per electric unit. So every 1 electric unit that I use gives me an output of 2 units. So remember I told you, what if I need 100 extra units? Well, 1 unit gives me 2 units of output. Then I will rent, or I will hire, or I will use 50 units of electricity to give me 100 units of output. And lastly, to make 400 units, I used 100 kgs of raw material. So it is 100 units divided by 100 kg, 0, it is 4 units per kg. Every 1 kg of raw material gives me an output of 4 units. So if you ask me the raw material output, then the raw material productivity is 4 units per kg. If you want 100 units, you need to give me 25 kgs, because 1 kg gives me 4 units. 25 into 4 will be 100 units. And that is what you mean by an input-output productivity. I am putting something as an input. When it comes out as a product. How many products can I make with per unit input of? That could be anything. It could be workers, it could be it could be hours, it could be days, it could be raw material, it could be anything. And that is the input-output productivity. Let's do a few questions based on that. Starting with somewhere at the bottom, I think, yes. Starting with question number 11. In your module, it is page 164, question number 6. Compute the productivity per machine hour. See, they've mentioned very clearly. What do you want? They want the productivity of per machine hour. So for an input of machine hours, what is the output? And then I will find out against that output, what was my input. Also draw interpretation. Okay. In January, I have 400 machines employed that are working for 220 hours. I need to find out how much total machine hours has gone in. In February, 550 machines working for 180 hours. And in March, 580 machines working for 220 hours. And the production output is given to me. Fine. Let me begin then. The first thing that I'm going to do is write down the question. So let me pause and write down the question. So this is the question. There are 400 machines working in January. Each machine working for 220 hours gives me a production output of 990 hours. You are asking me a per machine hour productivity. For that, I need to know how many machine hours am I working to give you an output of 99000. So I will make a new column and I will say total machine hours. So in January, 400 machines working for 220 hours is a total of 4 into 22 is 88. 88 and 3 zeros, or 88,000 hours. In February, 550 machines working for 180 hours is 550 into 180 is 99000, or 99,000 hours. In March, 580 machines working for 220 hours. (580) 220 hours is a total of 127,600. Let me check that once again. 580 into, yes, 127,600 hours. So in January, the machine worked for 880 hours and gave you an output of 990. The machine worked for 88,000 hours and gave you an output of 99,000. So if you are asking me the per machine hour productivity will be, what is your output against what is your input? My output is 99,000 divided by 88,000. So I'm cancelling the 1,000 and the answer is 1.125. So the productivity is 1.125 units per machine hour. So every machine hour that I put in, I get an output of 1.125 units. Let's go to February. I have an output of 1 lakh units for an input of 99,000 machine hours. 1 lakh divided by 99,000 is a total of 1.0101 and so on. So I'm writing it as 1.01 units per machine hour. And lastly, in the month of March, 1,25,000 units for an input of 1,27,600. 1,25,000 units for an input of 1,27,600 is 0.9796. So 0.9796 units per machine hour. Excuse my handwriting, please. Very little place to write anyway. So this is my answer. What was your question? That was my question. My question was, compute the productivity per machine hour with the following data. Also draw interpretation. What do you mean by draw interpretation? What do you interpret out of this? Well, in the month of January, the productivity was very good. If you notice, every 1 machine hour I give in, I get 1.25 products. In the month of February, the productivity dropped. Every 1 hour I give in, I get 1.01 products. Is lesser than January. And March, it dropped even more. And the productivity has become a 0.97. For every 1 hour I give in, I don't even get 1 full product. I get less than 1 product. So if you notice, the productivity of my plant is gradually dropping. So the machine hour productivity is gradually dropping. Fine. Let's see what they have written. So they have not calculated the productivity in a table. They've calculated it separately. Well, I have also done the same, but I have done it in the table. 1.125, 1.01, 0.98. I would expect you to write the units. It is 1.125 units per machine hour. 1.010 units per machine hour and 1.980 units per machine hour. Interpretation. Though the total production in the number of units is increasing, the productivity is decreasing. So if you notice, although the production is increasing, 99,000, 1 lakh, 125, the productivity is decreasing. The input-output productivity is decreasing. That is one question that I wanted to do. And quickly, on top, somewhere around the 3rd or the 4th question, a very small question about input-output productivity. Here it is. My only problem with this question is they are not clearer. Like in the previous question, did you notice they clearly said, give us what? Give us a machine hour productivity. Basically, how many units am I making per machine hour? Here, my problem is they are not clear. So I can have different interpretations, but they have given only one answer. Let's come to the question. What does the question say? The question says, in a particular plant, there are 10 workers manufacturing a single product and the output per month is of 25 days of a particular product is 200. How much is the monthly productivity? That is all that they have said. They have only and only said how much is the monthly productivity. So see, my problem with the question is that there are 2 things that are going in. Number 1, 10 workers are working for 25 days. Correct? And you are getting an output of 200 units. So you know when I ask you, I can ask you 2 things. Number 1, what is the worker productivity? So worker productivity is 200 by 10, which is 20 units per worker. When I say I am working for 25 days, you can say 200 units in 25 days is a total of 8 units per day. This is my worker productivity and this is my day productivity. You haven't mentioned? Well, there's one more productivity that you can find. And what is that? 10 workers working for 25 days. Isn't it 250 worker days? 10 workers working for 25 days is 250 worker days. And if you now ask me a worker day productivity, then I am going to say that 200 units out of 250 worker days. Sir, what do you mean by 250 worker days? See, I'll tell you. This is 10 workers working together. This is 25 days. So in one day, you get an output of 8. But in that one day, aren't there 10 workers working together? So if I want to find the worker day productivity, it is 10 workers working for 25 days is 250 worker days that go into this production. 200 divided by 250, I will need a calculator. I think it's 0.8. 200 divided by 250 is 0.8. So it is 0.8 units per worker day. When you say day, in this day, there are how many workers working? There are 10 workers working. So they have not mentioned, so I gave all three, but they have given you an answer for only one. And that is, they've just given you the monthly productivity per worker. 200 by 10, which is 20 units, this is what they're expecting. But I would say, to be on the safer side, find everything and give it to them. Let them pick up whatever they want. If they specifically would have said, find the worker productivity, then this is my answer. Find the day productivity, this is my answer. Find the worker day productivity, this is my answer. But because they have not mentioned, I give them all three. If mentioned, give them exactly one. That is the second question. Those were the two questions that you all have on input-output productivity. For a given input, if I have a certain output, what is my input to output productivity? Now we do an output-output productivity. Now what do you mean by an output-output productivity? Here, the input doesn't matter. What matters here is two outputs. Number one, what is the standard that has been set? And number two, what is the actual? Now a lot of students try to remember this as a formula. Don't. Remember this as logic. Like what kind of logic? I'll tell you. If I tell you that the standard output is 40 units and you are producing 30 units, what is the standard output? 40 units. So on a standard basis, I should have gotten 40 units. What are you giving me? 30 units. Are you productive? No. If I was 100% productive, I would give you at least 40%, 40 units. But I don't. I'm only giving you 30. Then how productive are you? Now listen to what I'm saying very carefully. I am expecting an output of 40 units while you are only giving me 30. Are you good or are you bad? Well, you are definitely bad. If you are bad, your productivity should be above 100 or below 100. Obviously below 100. So for a productivity of below 100, when I take a ratio between the two, shouldn't the smaller be on top and the bigger down into 100? So that is 75%. I am only 75% productive because I am only giving you 75% of the actual output or 75% of the standard output. Same question. If you are producing 40 units and I am giving you an output of 60 units, am I good or am I bad? Well, you are very good. The standard set is only 40 units, but you are giving me 60 units in the same standard. Well, then you are good. If you are good, Then, are you above 100 in productivity or below 100? Well, obviously above 100. Well, above 100, which means the greater number should be on top and smaller number below, is 60 upon 40 into 100, which is 150%. I am giving you 50% more than the standard. So you will say, sir, simple. Then productivity is actual upon standard. Actual upon standard. Okay, fine, fantastic. I am changing the example. If the standard time taken to make 1 unit is 40 hours. What is this? It is the standard time taken to make 1 unit is 40 hours. You are taking 60 hours to make it. Are you good or are you bad? Well, you are bad because you are taking more time than the standard. If you are bad, shouldn't it be a less than 100% productivity? Yes. So the smaller value should be on top and the greater value should be down. Yes. So it is 40 by 60 into 100. 1 minute. Sir, you did standard upon actual. Yes. That is why I told you don't remember the formula. Don't by heart the formula as actual upon standard. When you are doing a unit based calculation, it is the actual upon standard. But when you are doing a time based calculation, it is the standard upon the actual. And that is why always remember it one thing. In types of number of units, standard is 40, I am making 30, I am bad. If I am bad, less than 100, numerator is smaller than the denominator. Number of units, standard is 40, actual is 60. Am I good or am I bad? I am very good. If I am good, then I have to be more than 100. If I have to be more than 100, actual should go on top, standard should come to the denominator. If I am talking about a number of hour based perspective, then my standard hours is 40, but I am actually taking 60. Am I good or am I bad? I am bad. And if I am bad, it is less than 100. For less than 100, smaller needs to be up, greater needs to be down. And this is called an output productivity, where I will be given a standard, I will be given an actual. Depending on am I doing good or am I bad, I will calculate a productivity, and this productivity is always a percentage based productivity. Let's come to one example on that, and that is question number, yes, perfect, question number 7. What does question number 7 say? There are two industries, A and B, manufacturing hose couplings. What are hose couplings? So a hose is a pipe basically. Whenever you are joining two pipes together, the central connector is a coupling. So because you are joining two pipes, it becomes a hose coupling. Now you must have seen this in different places. You just don't know that that is it. Like when you are connecting a pipe or a gardening pipe to a tap, the connector that you get that connects to the tap and the pipe is a coupling. But that's a plastic coupling. So that is also a hose coupling. The gas cylinder connection that you've made, when you connect the gas cylinder to the regulator, so you are connecting the gas pipe to the regulator, that small connector there in which your pipe goes is called a hose coupling. Some people have two gases. So what they do is they bring one pipe and then they add a splitter there, and that gives rise to two connections. That splitter right there is a hose coupling. Anything that connects two pipes is called a hose coupling. Because you all are production, because you all are costing people, you all need to know a little bit of production, so you all need to know a little bit of these products. Anyway, coming back to, there are two industries, A and B, manufacturing hose couplings. The standard time per piece is 15 minutes. So the standard that I have set is 1 unit should not take more than 15 minutes. Okay. The output of a small scale industry is 30 and 20 respectively. So there are two small scale industries, A and B. They are making 30 and 20 units In an 8-hour shift, find their productivity in each per shift of 8 hours. What is the expected production each week consisting of 6 days? So let's come to one at a time. Number one, let's write down the data. And the data is there are two industries, A and B. So A, B. Correct? What is your actual output? Your actual output is 30 units and 20 units respectively in an 8-hour shift. So in 8 hours you have given me 30 units and in 8 hours you have given me 20 units. But I know standard time of production is 15 minutes. What is 15 minutes? Well, 15 minutes is 15 divided by 60 hours, which is 0.25 hours. So the standard time to make 1 unit is 0.25 hours. Okay. Let me now find out how much should be the standard production in 8 hours, because they are producing 30 and 20 units in 8 hours. So I am going to say 1 unit takes 0.25 hours. So I will make X units in how many hours? In 8 hours. Cross multiply. So I will have 8 into 1 is equal to 0.25 into X, or X is 0.8 divided by 0.25, which is 8 fours are 32 if I am correct. 8 divided by 0.25, yes, 32. So the answer is 32. So if the standard time is 15 minutes per unit, obviously I'll give you a common sense. In 15 minutes you are making 1 unit. So in half an hour you will make 2 units. In 45 minutes you will make 3 units. And in 1 hour you will make 4 units. If in 1 hour you make 4 units, in 8 hours, 8 fours are 32 units. This is your standard. But what have you given? What you've given me is that I have 2 industries, A and B. A makes 30 units in 8 hours and B makes 20 units in 8 hours. Are they good or are they bad? Both are bad. I am expecting a standard of 32 units. You are only making 30. I am expecting a standard of 20 units. I am expecting a standard of 32 units. You are only making 20. So, productivity of A is standard is 32, you are only making 30. Are you good or are you bad? You are definitely bad. So if you are bad, you have to be less than 100, which means smaller number on top, greater number at the bottom into 100. So the answer is 32. 30 divided by 32 into 100. So you are 93.75% efficient, productive only. While productivity of B is going to be 20 by 32 into 100, which is productivity of B is 20 divided by 32 into 100, and the answer is 62.5%. So can I say neither of them is 100% productive? Because if they were, then they would both give me an output of 32 units. But because both of them are not productive, they are less than 100% productive. But if you go to see, A is still more productive than B. Question number 2. What is the expected production of each per week consisting of 6 days? Simple. The output of A is 30 in 1 day of 8 hours. So in 6 days, it will produce 30 into 6. 6 3s are 18, 180 units. And B will produce 20 into 6, 6 2s are 12, 120 units. That's my answer. Productivity of A is 93.75%. Productivity of B is 62.5%. And in a span of 6 days, A will produce 180 units while B will only produce 120 units. Let's look at what solution are they expecting. Solution. Productivity, actual upon standard. Don't remember it as a formula. You will, if you remember it as a formula, you will goof up at some point in time. Standard production of the hose coupling per shift of 8 hours. It is 8 into 60 divided by 15. I have done it separate calculations. They have done all together, but that's okay. I hope you've understood. The final answer is 32 pieces. Productivity of A is 30 by 32, which is 15 by 16. Productivity of B is 5 by 8. So the productivity expressed in percentage is 93.75% and productivity expressed in percentage of B is 62.5%. Production per week of industry A is 30 into 6, which is 180, and per week of B is 20 into 6, which is 120. Done? That's your answer. This is one very basic and a standard question in output productivity. What will happen? You will be given the standard output, you will be given the actual output. You have to compare and check whether the standard or the actual is as good as the standard or it's not as good as the standard. When you're talking unit wise, if you are more than standard, it's good, less than standard, it's bad. When you're talking time wise, if you're taking more time than standard, bad, less time than standard, good. Remember that and don't remember it as a formula. That is question number 7. So in general, what is productivity? If you are doing better than what I am expecting or better than the standards, you are more than 100% productive. If you are not doing as good as the standard, you are less than 100% productive. And now what happens is in an industry, like suppose for example, you are an industry where we are again making hose couplings. So these are two factories, no A and B. Let's not look at them as two factories. Let's look at them as two workers, A and B, in the same factory. A is giving you an output of 30 units while B is giving you an output of 20 units in the same day. The standard that I'm expecting is 32 units. Is that correct? Well, let's change the data and introduce another third person, C. C gives you an output of 40 units in the same time. That could be because of different reasons. Could be because C doesn't waste time at all, or could be because C is very efficient at whatever he does, or maybe he or she has very good experience in whatever they are doing. Because of all these reasons, it could happen that I am getting a better output, an even better output than the standard that I am expecting. Now, I have 3 workers in my factory. I am expecting all 3 to make 32 units. A doesn't, A only makes 30, B only makes 20, while C makes 40 units. In the same time, which means in the same overheads, C is giving me a better output. Now, C is giving me a better output. So, shouldn't he or she be compensated for the good work that they are doing? Why? Well, if you don't compensate them and give everybody the same salary, C is going to say, why do I work hard so much? I don't understand. If people with 20 units are also getting the same salary as I am when I'm drawing twice the number of units, what's the point? And that is where we come to a proportionate percentage bonus. What does that mean? I am expecting an output of 32 units. You are giving me an output of 40 units. How productive are you? You are definitely more productive than 100%. How much more? So it's going to be 40 by 32 into 100. What is 40 by 32 into 100? 40 divided by 32 into 100. The answer is 125%. So can I say you are 25% more productive than what I am expecting you to be? So you are giving me 25% more output in the same overheads. Well, if you are giving me 25% more output in the same overheads, then why not give you a 25% bonus? And this is where we talk about a proportionate bonus. Whatever you give me an extra output for, I will give you that much of an extra bonus. So if you are giving me a 25% extra output, I will give you a 25% bonus. These questions also have different levels. Because I told you all these levels, they have cancelled and they've just kept like 1 or 2 questions. And that is why just one question I'm going to do in different levels and show you how are you supposed to do this particular question. So let's come to the question that I want to do. And that is question number 10. What does the question say? An incentive scheme allows proportionate production bonus beyond 100%. I just told you what that means. So if you are working more than 100%, you're obviously saving a lot of my time and giving me more output. And if that's the case, then I will give you a proportionate production bonus. Over 100% performance level, calculate the amount of number 1, incentive bonus, number 2, total payment received by an operator on a particular day during which the following particulars apply. Operation. What is he doing? He is assembling pocket transistor radios. I hope everybody knows what a pocket transistor radio is. Before the age of cell phones, before the boom of cell phones or the Nokia boom happened, before that, there were these, when radios had taken up, like crazy radio channels had come up from 91 to, there was Mirchi, there was Tomato, there was City, there was 104 FM and stuff like that. There were a lot of radio channels. That is when these small radios had come up, where you have earphones and then you scan to listen to a radio channel. They were cheap. They were like 150, 200 bucks. If you want to buy a good one like a Philips, it might be a little expensive, around the 400 bucks bracket, but that's that. Nothing more than that. Anyway, so you are assembling pocket transistor radios. Work content, 30 minutes of standard minutes per assembled set. So to assemble one set, you need 30 minutes. Attended time, 8 hours. Time spent on unmeasured work is 2 hours. I'll tell you what that means. Number of sets assembled during the day is 15. Okay. Wage rate is 4 per hour. What is the net labor productivity achieved by the operator during that day? Okay. One thing at a time. Let me have a smaller question on top. And that is an incentive scheme that gives you a proportionate production bonus. What is the operation? The operation is to settle or assemble a pocket transistor. What is the standard time required? So, standard time is 30 minutes per set. Correct? Time attended is 8 hours. So time eight hours. So you have two choices. Either convert this minute to hours or convert this hour to minutes. The previous question I had converted this to hours. Let me do this reverse. Let me convert this to minutes. Time attended is 8 hours. 8 hours is nothing else but 8 into 60 minutes. 6 8s are 480 minutes. So the standard time is 30 minutes and the time given to you is 480 minutes. So one set requires 30 minutes. Then I can make X sets in 480 minutes. Cross multiply. 1 into 480 divided by 30 is X, or X is equal to 480 divided by 30. 480 divided by 30 is 16. So the standard output should be 16 sets. You should be able to put together a minimum of 16 sets because that is my standard. So standard output in a span of 8 hours is 16 sets. Okay. Time spent on unmeasured work. Forget that for the time being. Number of sets assembled during that day is 15. I'm changing that. I'm changing 15 to 20. Why? Just like that. So, number of actual sets assembled is 20 sets. Question. Standard is 16. This guy is assembling 20. Is he good or is he bad? He is very good. He is giving me an output of more than what the standard is. Well, then he is more than 100% productive. So I am going to say productivity is how much? Productivity is 20 divided by 16 into 100. Because productivity has to be more than 100 in this case. So it is 20 divided by 16 multiplied by 100, and the answer is 125%. So can I say that this person should get a 25% more salary? But moreover what? The normal that the person gets. What is the normal that the person gets? The wage rate is rupees 4 per hour. Wage is rupees 4 per hour. If wage is rupees 4 per hour, this person is working for 8 hours in a day. So for 8 hours, it is rupees 8 into 4. 8 4s are 32 rupees. But sir, that is what I pay any normal person. This guy is 125% productive. Shouldn't I pay him more? Yes. So there are two ways of looking at it. You pay the person 32 rupees plus another 25% of 32 rupees, which is 32 plus. You are giving that person a bonus of 25 rupees, which is going to be 32 into 25%. The answer is 8. So you are giving that person a bonus of 8 rupees. So a salary of 32 and a bonus of 8 is a total of 40 rupees. And that's your answer. Let's look at the questions that they have asked you. And the questions are: number 1. Total amount received by the operator on a particular day. Total amount received is 40 rupees. Fine. That is question number 1. Question number 1 was incentive bonus. Well, the incentive bonus is of 8 rupees. Question number 2, total salary is of 40 rupees. 32 rupees salary plus 8 rupees incentive. And question number 3 is that what is the net labor productivity achieved by the operator during that day? Well, the operator has achieved a productivity of 125%. But if you ask me labor productivity or a per hour based productivity, then that will be different, but you need to be clearer. Again, the question is not very clear. If you want an hourly productivity, then tell me you want an hourly productivity. If you just say labor productivity, well, it is 125%. But if you are saying labor productivity achieved by the operator during that day or hourly labor productivity, then I understand that you want what is the hourly output for the given input. So that question we'll answer later. I have other problems. Problem number 1 is, this is not what the question says. The question is very different. The question says, number 1, there are 2 things added in this question. Number 1 is that there is a standard output of 16 sets, which is correct. There's nothing wrong with it. From here is where the question starts going wrong, and that is, I assumed an actual of 20, which is not true. The actual is only 16. But they have added something called as unmeasured work. Now what is that? Let me come back to the question. So, operation, well, you are assembling pocket transistors. What is the standard time in minutes? Is 30. So, again I will write everything down. So, I am now writing down in short because here I have written down everything in detail. Otherwise, I will have to, I can do one thing. I can cut this into half and start doing this on a new sheet of paper. Best. Correct? So, I have my standard output of 16 sets. Is that right? Correct. But sir, there's a small problem. There is something called as 2 hours of unmeasured work. Now, what do you mean by 2 hours of unmeasured work? Well, I'll tell you with an example. Suppose you are somebody who is a carpenter and you have to work on making a table or a chair. When you come the first thing in the morning into your production plant, do you immediately start making the table and the chair? No. You come, you clean everything, you set up, you look at your tools. If there is any tool that requires any kind of a sharpening, if there is a saw, if there is a drill that requires cleaning or sharpening, you do that. My question to you is this a part of your work? Yes, it has to be, no? But is this giving me any profit? No. Then this is unmeasured work. Work that does not come under the measured criteria. Then what comes under the measured criteria? Well, anything that gives me profit comes under the measured criteria. Anything that does not give me profit does not come under the measured criteria. If you are a coal miner, you have to clean all the equipments that you use to dig the coal out. Cleaning those equipments has to be done every day once in the morning. So when you come to work, your first job is to start cleaning them. That again is unmeasured work. I'll give you an example right now that you all are watching videos online. Once you set everything up, keep your phone, get all your books in place, tell everybody around to shut up because now you're going to start watching videos, and then start watching the videos. You can keep watching videos back to back. But then tomorrow when you wake up again, you again have to do the entire setup, which will take another half an hour, and then you can start watching videos. That's the same with us. When we start to make a video, it's not that I sit on the chair, I click start and I start making the video. It doesn't work that way. We have to start the software, put everything into place. Where does the PDF go? Where does my hand feed go? Where does my face feed go? What documents do I want? Let me pull out those documents. So in the process of making a 1 hour video, I spend around half an hour in making the setup. And that setup time is time that is not going to pay me, but it is something that has to be done. It's inevitable. So, in an 8-hour shift, the person who is assembling pocket transistors is doing 2 hours of unmeasured work, which means the actual work of assembling transistors is not happening for 8 hours, it is only happening for 6 hours of measured work. So if I have to judge this operator, I have to judge him or her on the basis of a 6-hour criteria and not on a basis of an 8-hour criteria. So now I will say standard output in 6 hours is 6 hours is basically 6 into 60 minutes, which is 360 minutes. 1 unit requires a standard of 30 minutes. Then How many units will I make in 360 minutes? Cross multiply. X is 360 divided by 30, which becomes 3 cancels, 3 1s are 3 2s are 6. So the standard is not 16 units. You know the problem is you are considering the units made in the unmeasured work also, not allowed. That time that he or she is spending is doing unmeasured work, which is other stuff like cleaning, sharpening objects, setting up the place and stuff like that. Those 2 hours cannot be considered as work. They are unmeasured work. So 6 hours is measured work. Now in the 6 hours of measured work, like I'll give you another example. If you are a restaurateur, if a restaurant opens at 9 a.m., does that mean people, the waiters and the people cooking food come there at 9 a.m.? No. They come there at 7 or they come there at 6 and then they do unmeasured work from 6 to 9. Does that mean this work cannot be done? No, it has to be done. There is no choice. Because the process of feeding people has to start with prepping up. So if a particular person works from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., in that from 7 to 9 goes into unmeasured work. 9 to 7 is actually the measured work. So in the 8 hour, 2 hour is going into prep, which means that 6 hour is the actual work. So the standard output should not be judged on 8 hours, should only be judged on 6 hours, and the answer is 12 units. Okay. How many units is your operator giving out? 15 units. Actual output is 15 units. Are you good or are you bad? Very good. In 6 hours of measured work, I am expecting an output of 12 units, but you are giving me an output of 15 units. Well, if you are giving me an output of 15 units, I am expecting you are giving me better than what I am expecting. So if you ask me your productivity is going to be 15 upon 12 into 100. What is 15 upon 12 into 100? 15 divided by 12 into 100 is 125%, which is 125% productive. If you are 125% productive, I will pay you 25% extra. And this is what I would usually do. What I would do is, see, although you are working 6 hours measured and 2 hours unmeasured, you are still working. That work is important to me. It's just that it is not productive work, but that's okay. It is a part of your job and I have to pay you for it. Without that work, the rest of the work can't be done. So I cannot say that I am only paying you for 6 hours. I have to pay you for a total of 8 hours. So this is what I would do. For 8 hours, I am paying you at 4 rupees. For 8 hours, 4 rupees is going to be 8 4s are 32. But to this, I am going to add another 25% and the answer is 40 rupees. There's one problem. And the problem is, see, I agree, you have to pay him for the unmeasured work. That's okay. I completely agree with you. But then why are you giving him a bonus for unmeasured work? The extra work that he is doing, or the paid work, or the actual work which is giving you an output is being done in 6 hours. Then give him an incentive only on the 6 hours. Don't give him an incentive on the 2 hours. Give him salary for 2 hours. That I agree. Don't give him incentive for those 2 hours. So here the salary will be broken down as 8 hours, which is split into measured, unmeasured. Measured work is 6 hours. Unmeasured work is 2 hours. For the 6 hours, I will give you a salary of 6 into 4, which is 24. And for the 2 hours, I am going to give you 4 into 2, which is 8. Technically it is 24 plus 8, which is 32, which I would have said 8 into 4 is 32 also. But why the split then? Because I have to give a bonus. And the bonus will only be given on the 24 rupees. How will you give a bonus? You will say bonus is 25% over the 100. So bonus is 25% of 24. What is 25% of 24? Well, 25% of 24 is 6 rupees. So give him or her a bonus of 6 rupees. So your salary will be 24 rupees for measured work plus 8 rupees for unmeasured work plus 6 rupees as bonus. So the answer is 24 plus 6, which is 30 plus 8 is rupees 30. So ideally, you know what they do. Initially, they don't give you question of measured, unmeasured. They only give you 8 hours. This is the output. This is the expected output. Find the productivity. Give him a salary. Then they give you where the person is more productive, but it's measured and unmeasured. So what happens in measured and unmeasured? Number one, you don't judge him for all the 8 hours. You judge him or her on the measured hours, not on the unmeasured hours. So the standard is calculated on the measured, which is only 6 hours. So the 6 hour standard is 12. You have given me an output of 15, which means you are 25% more productive than what I am expecting. So when you now give a salary, split it as measured and unmeasured, because he will get the same salary on both the hours, but on the 6 hours he will get a bonus. On the 2 hours there will be no bonus. So the answer to all the questions that are asked is, question number 1 was, what is the incentive bonus? The incentive bonus is 6 rupees. Question number 2, what is the total salary? The total salary is 38 rupees. Question number 3, what is the productivity? The productivity is 125%. But in the final answer, they have written an input-output productivity, which means that they are expecting an input-output productivity. You notice here, the net labor productivity output per in units by the net hours. So you know what that means. It's simple. He's putting in 6 hours and giving you an output of 15 units. So it is 2.5 sets per hour. But then if you ask me, no, the question is not written very well. They should have mentioned, they should have properly written what is the hourly labor productivity. Then I would have given you the hourly productivity. That I understand. These questions are a little misleading. But anyway, it is what it is, and this is your final answer. Let's quickly look at the solution that they have. They have written whatever I have written. It's just that probably written in a better handwriting, obviously, because my handwriting is trash. Let's start. Total standard minutes worked during the day is 30 into 15, which is 450. Working time is 8 minus 2, which is 6 hours, which is 360 minutes. Performance is 125%. They have calculated productivity in a very different format. I have calculated productivity in a very different format. I hope you understand what I have done. What I have done is, for 6 hours, what should be the output and what is your output, and then I have compared the two. Let's come to the incentive bonus. The incentive bonus is 25% of the 6 hours at 4 rupees, which is 6 rupees. The guaranteed wage is 8 into 4, which is 32. 32 plus the 6 rupees as bonus, which is a total of 38. The net labor productivity is 15 by 6, which is 2.5 per set. They have written whatever I have written, but it's just that the approach is a little different. I prefer this approach. You can refer whatever. If you understand that better, good for you. If you understand this better, good for you. 8 hours, 6 hours and 2 hours. If it takes 30 minutes to assemble one transistor, in the 6 hours of measured work, I will expect you to have assembled 12 units of transistors. But you have assembled 15 units, which means you are 125% productive. Which means in the 8 hours, which is 6 hours of measured and 2 hours of unmeasured work, 6 into 4, which is 24 hours a 24 rupees that I pay you, I have to give you a 25% bonus on it, which is a bonus of 6 rupees. 2 hours of measured, which is 2 into 4, which is 8. So it is 24 into 8 plus 6, which is a total of 38 rupees. That's your answer. Once do this and then one line at a time. After everything, again answer all their questions. Write A, incentive bonus is 6 rupees. B, total salary on that day is 24 plus 8 plus 6, 38 rupees. Productivity is 25.5 sets per hour. That's it. That is that question. We are roughly left with 4 more questions. Let's do that in the next session. Thank you.